timeline, Arvin was planning a week-long hike. He had food and water and supplies for the extended hike from the China Camp trailhead that's in Carmel Valley through Sykes Hot Springs to Big Sur Station. So this is a very popular hike in the area.
Yeah.
It's not super long, but he wanted to take his time. So he planned to arrive at Big Sur Station on August 14th. So he was going to go from the 6th to the 14th, spend a lot of time doing it. Mm-hmm. Facts about the trail, it's 23 miles long with an elevation gain of about 5,500 feet. So again, it's hilly. You can do this in a day.
Yeah.
You could. You're going to be moving fast. If you can average 2 miles an hour with breaks and stuff, 5, 6, 7 hours, you could do this thing in.
Yeah.
There's campgrounds along the way. He was going to veer off and do, the hot springs. There's different places you can go. So he wanted to take his time and enjoy the countryside, essentially. So on August 6th, 2014, his friend dropped him off at the China Camp near Tasahara Road. And it's really, from what I've read, it's really high and deep in the forest. Like when you get up there, it's very densely packed. Mm-hmm. So he started his hike out of the China Camp. Very quickly, within a couple hours, he came across a cabin with 2 people in it. Now, these are the last 2 people that are going to see him alive. One of them is Jack English, who lived there for 13 years in that isolated cabin in the Ventana Wilderness, and his son, Dennis. So I read up on this. I was wondering how he had a private property in the park.
Yeah.
Apparently there was an auction for like a plot of land in the middle of the park, and Jack bought it. And then he was just like, I'm going to go live in this isolated cabin for forever. So he was there with his son, Dennis Stan Russell. So Dennis and Jack had gone out to visit their cabin in Pine Valley on August 6th. So a couple hours later, Dennis was sitting inside playing a guitar with his father, and he heard a voice outside asking to approach the cabin. So it was Arvin, who had heard the guitar playing, and he came up to introduce himself. Dennis welcomed him in, befriended Arvin, and they hung out and played music and hiked around the Pine Valley for a couple days. Mm-hmm. So again, a great testament to the type of person this guy is.
Yeah.
He walks up to a cabin where he hears music, says, hey, what's going on? And now he's hanging out with these dudes for 2 days, hiking around. So awesome guy, probably fun to hang out with. And that was the last time they saw him. So there's been conflicting reports of everyone says last seen on August 6th. Basically, these 2 guys are saying they hung out with him for 2 days and last saw him on the 8th. Mm-hmm. So Dennis and Jack, these are the people who were originally in the cabin, were picked up by a helicopter on the 8th. So they're leaving Pine Valley, and Arvin saw them off. So you can imagine they're flying away, he's waving them away. Arvin told Dennis he was going to be staying through Saturday in total, Saturday the 9th, and then hike the 11 miles to Sykes on Sunday morning the 10th. So he's detailing out what he plans to do. He's going to hang around that area for a while, then hike the 11 miles to Sykes on Sunday morning on the 10th. That's the last anyone's seen him. So now fast forward to August 16th. This is 2 days after his planned arrival. A friend or relative of Nelson's, they haven't really documented who it was, so we don't know, but it was a friend or relative and had called law enforcement on August 16th and said Nelson had left instructions to notify officials if he wasn't back by August 14th, Thornburg says. Now, there's a little bit of criticism around this because I would call him more of an avid hiker. He left his itinerary and his return date.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's done it before, because that's like rule number 1 of here's when you should expect me back by. Mm-hmm. So if he's saying I'm not back by this date, contact him. So he has a good idea of how long he should be out, when he should be back by.
Yeah.
Waiting a couple days, again, someone that has supplies and is an avid backcountry person, I would consider that. Maybe I would have called a day later, personally, but not calling on that day, I probably wouldn't have called myself either.
Yeah.
When I was in Colorado last time and we were up in the mountains, we had a guy who stayed at base camp, and I gave him like a 40-hour window of us returning.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I don't know what we're going to run into. We are bushwhacking, so I'm like, it could take really long. Mm-hmm. But I said, at any point, coming down a mountain's easier. So if I feel like it's going to take too long, we're going to turn around and come back. And I know I'll be able to get back. So that's a pretty big window. Like I said, maybe I would have waited till like the night of the second day. So if they called the next morning, I wouldn't say that was them kind of being neglectful, especially if he was an experienced guy. So this is where Commander John Thornburg enters the scene. He's Monterey County Sheriff's Office, says the search team was using 1 airplane, 3 helicopters, 30 ground searchers per day, and they were getting help from California Highway Patrol and the National Guard and the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So they went all out, And it was a testament, again, too, of how tight-knit of a community it is. Now we're fast-forwarding to August 22nd. It's the 6th day of the search and rescue. And the officials had originally planned a 5 to 7 day search. They were going to really start calling it off, but Thornburg said that the search might not be called off yet because he took into account that an area he had not hiked before, he said, but the reason the search had been going long is he's an experienced hiker and he took the equipment with him to stay alive.
Yeah.
So the idea behind that would be if he got injured and got stuck somewhere, he could still be alive. So we need to utilize the manpower and the time to try and find him before it becomes an issue. So he had food, he had water, he had equipment for an extended stay, but he was hiking a large wilderness area with dense vegetation cover. So his last statement was, we have hopes he's still alive. Keely Richter, who had known him for 10 years and was on the blog that really followed this case the closest, she had a lot of comments that I want to read here just to really play a testament to his character. She said, and I'm quoting, "He's the most open and friendly and enthusiastic person in Big Sur, truly. I had never been pulled onto more dance floors in my life before I met him. He's a terrible dancer, but god damn it, it's so fun to dance with him. He will always, invited or otherwise, play the harmonica with a band, whether they're a national touring band or one of our many, many friends. There are a few people beyond my group of close friends, of which he is not exactly a member of, that can pull me out of a funk like he can. He's just so fucking joyful. I know next to nothing about his past, but I feel so close to him. I would wager that 9 out of 10 Big Sur residents would say the same. Big Sur really tends to rally around a tragedy. And Arvin's been there through fires and mudslides, storms, and deaths, making sure that everyone is coping. Not in an intrusive or, what's the word I'm looking for, materialistic, proactive, type A personality way, but in a, hey, let me buy you a beer kind of way. He's vital, especially to me as someone who takes the weight of the tragedy on and attempts to come up with concrete ways to help." So that was super passionate of a statement to post. This guy, again, I'll say it a million times, sounds like an awesome dude, like a big community guy, gets along with everybody. So it's not someone who's going to get in a fight, create enemies, have some issue that would cause someone that, hey, I know he's going to be there and he's always a problem, like, let's go get him. Like, I would look at like a criminal nature of that. A couple of things I came across that I think are important details about this trail. There's a bunch of websites detailing, there's meetups of people that hike the trail. These popped up. Don't wear shorts on the trail because it's extremely overgrown. And that's just from China Camp to Redwood Camp, which is not the whole way. In the Ventana Wilderness, they say they have a well-deserved reputation for poor signage. And even when they do exist, they're easy to miss because they're overgrown. So they're saying, you really should have a good map to avoid missing invisible junctions or other signage that would put you in the right direction. The biggest thing that I found in there was they said the distances are wrong all the way. So, and this is from people that are pretty peeved because they're like the distances that are noted are completely off apparently.
Really?
One of the biggest rules of backcountry is it's never as close as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's just not.
But it doesn't help if the sign is completely wrong. It doesn't help if the sign's
lying to you too.
Yeah, wow.
So that can always kind of reset you and be like, oh, I thought it was closer, or wow, I thought it was farther away. But if the sign's wrong also, there's water in the wrong places or not at all. The detour to Sykes Springs is 15 minutes each way, but it could be not worth it. So there's a lot of things that seems like it's not managed well that could throw people off, especially if it's your first time doing it.
Yeah.
That's the issue too. If you're experienced and you're seeing signage, I would trust it.
Yep.
If I'm seeing official park signs, you assume it's right.
But you know what? I always take a map of the park with me.
Yep, I do too.
And I actually, I'll use like a pedometer on my hand or my phone, and I'll kind of judge how far I've gone and then look at a map. I've seen signs before too where it'll say it's 2 miles away and it's wrong, like you said.
Yeah, if you're on flat ground walking and it's not hills, you should be able to do 2 miles in 20 minutes.
I mean, the maps posted in the parks are great to kind of try and get your bearings, but you should always keep track of where you are on a map that's
like
on
a National Geographic topographical.
Mark where you went into the park, and then if you cross a river, make note of that river on the map and make note of natural landmarks like lakes and mountain ranges. And because we've seen this in other parks, the signs aren't always accurate. Sometimes they're missing. Sometimes people will try to screw with hikers. If there's like arrows, they'll flip them the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you really got to bring a map with you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, again, we don't have, it's an ongoing case, so none of these really have closure as far as the timelines go. It's a heavily trafficked area, and they haven't found anything on them yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal because they said you're not encountering a ton of people at the original camp between where he was and where he was at the cabin, but when you get down to Sykes Springs, there's a lot of things on, Travelocity and TripAdvisor talking about why those are really popular places to go see, and you should go see them because they're not hard to get